Hello, everybody. Welcome back to No Trailers Allowed, my movie and streaming show podcast where I do not watch trailers beforehand. I'm your host, Jersh. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find more episodes on my website, superjersh.com. You can support me and get this podcast early and ad-free by visiting patreon.com/superjersh. You can watch the video version of this podcast on youtube.com/superjersh. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at superjersh. If you want to email me to be a part of the show with your questions, comments, or suggestions, my email address is NoTrailersAllowed@gmail.com. I want to quickly welcome new patron Chelsey. Thank you, Patreon executive producers Mirrors, Triss, and I Love Manatees. And thank you, legendary Patreon producer Zelbinian. In this episode, I'm going to talk about House of Gucci. House of Gucci stars Adam Driver, Lady Gaga, Jared Leto, and Al Pacino, and is directed by Ridley Scott, which I did not know that when I watched this movie. I am going to go ahead and talk about this movie in full spoiler mode. It is based on real life events that I didn't happen to be aware of, but apparently a lot of people already were and are. So because it's based on real events and it's been out for a few months now, it was released several months ago and has been available on digital to rent or buy for over a month now. I'm going to go ahead and talk about it in full spoiler mode. So full spoiler warning for the movie House of Gucci and potential real life spoilers because the movie is based on true events. I will briefly talk about what my familiarity was with the story and what I knew going in, okay? First of all, didn't know it was directed by Ridley Scott. As stated, I did not watch the trailer for this movie. The only thing that I saw from this movie is I saw two still images, and I wish that I hadn't seen one of them. So the first still image that I saw was Adam Driver and Lady Gaga dressed in the winter, like the Alps setting. And when I saw that, and it said House of Gucci, all I thought was that they just were doing new ads for Gucci. I thought they were like the new models for that season of Gucci or something like that. I didn't know that it was a movie until like way later. I was like, oh wait, shit, that's a movie. So, and then the other still image, unfortunately, again, like I should just delete Twitter. I mute words. I scroll past things that seem like they might ruin things for me because I care about preserving the experience, like just for me, let alone the podcast for a lot of this stuff. And I saw somebody say like, this is Jared Leto, and they shared, and it had like hashtag Gucci or something like that. So I knew that was Jared Leto. I don't think I would have known if I hadn't seen that tweet, if I'm honest, because there's so many prosthetics and there's such an affectation on his voice, which I'll talk about the accents in a moment. Anyway, what else did I know? I knew nothing about the real life. I had a family member, like when it was revealed that House of Gucci was coming out, my family member says to me, "Did you see the House of Gucci trailer?" And I said, "Of course not. I don't watch trailers anymore." And they said, "Well, it's just going to be about the Gucci murders anyway." And I was like, I didn't fucking know there was any murders. I just said I don't watch trailers. Anyway, yeah, so I didn't know. All I knew was literally that phrase about the Gucci murders. So I didn't know how many people were going to die, who killed who, when did they die, what was going to happen. So the mystery of real life was in full effect for me, and that probably had an impact about how I felt about this movie because I really liked this movie. I I do know after I watched it, I saw what some of the opinions and what some of the ratings were out there, and I understand that it's mixed to low. I feel like, again, probably because, actually, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why people don't like this movie. I understand that Jared Leto's performance is divisive, and rightly so. I am mixed. I go back and forth on it. Where, like, in the beginning of the movie, I was like, this is a cartoon character. But then by the end of the movie, when were trying to reconcile with Al Pacino, and he like committed to it throughout the whole movie, and I believed that that character was a real person by the end. I was like, I maybe he did it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Um, but the fact that I'll probably never forget that character, I think, is a win, because it's so hard to like stand out and be memorable in fucking anything anymore. So the fact that like I will just always think of like, yeah, bald Super Mario Jared Leto, like probably forever now, I think is a win for him. Um, so yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought Lady Gaga was incredible. Um, I couldn't believe, like, I expected her to maybe not do very well. I thought that like A Star Is Born leaned into her strengths. She's a performer, she's a singer, right? And so that was kind of like written for her. This was costumes and hair and talking differently, and again, like with real genuine like kind of menace and believability in that menace, like just overall, and her emotion, like her heartbreak towards the end when things start to fall apart and it starts to turn to like anger and revenge thoughts, and just everything that she did, I just was like, God, oh my God, like I'm very actually genuinely impressed, and I'm very happy, like for her. Like it's so weird to like be happy for people who are already happy and successful for a thousand lifetimes, but here I am being happy for her because you know she just kind of showed that, like, I feel like I've seen in my day a lot of entertainers try to cross the line, and like actors become singers and singers become actors, and it doesn't always work out very well. But I do think that she's an actual, genuine, rare exception, that she just is standalone a good actress, and even if she didn't have a singing career, I think she's very compelling as a performer and believable as an actor. So I was really happy with the performances all around. I was really happy with, but her in particular really stood out to me. I thought Adam Driver was great too. Something that I liked about this movie a lot was, um, I guess we'll talk about the Italian accents now. So I think if you see a clip of this movie, like not out of context, but just like at a moment's notice, if you hear 10 seconds of dialogue from this movie, it maybe sounds like a sketch, right? Or maybe if you just watch the trailer, it seems like a sketch. And even when you first start the movie and you hear how people are talking, it's like, what the? This is like, this is significant. This is severe. Like they are trying to talk this way. Um, but and so it kind of stands out to you. But as the movie goes along, and the more you get used to how they sound, it just starts to sound naturalistic to me. At least it did to me. And so for me, for the accents, I do think that they are a little maybe exaggerated or eccentric, but I think that is a strength of the movie because they didn't all sound the same. Lady Gaga sounds different from Jared Leto, sounds different from Adam Driver. Jeremy Irons didn't really have an Italian accent, but he was still great in his role. And Al Pacino was basically Al Pacino. And as far as I know, maybe he's the only Italian here in the main cast. Lady Gaga might be part Italian. I'm not sure. Um, but I liked the different cadences and the way of people speaking. Like Jared Leto's ridiculous Super Mario is not how everybody talked. Like that's how his character talked, which was different from everybody else. Adam Driver was this like kind of quiet, muted, calm, soft-spoken Italian. Lady Gaga started as this kind of like meager, meek, I'm just a nobody, and then as she gained more power and gained more comfortable in trying to take over the family, it became a little bit more exaggerated and powerful and mean. So yeah, it all worked for me. I loved how the story unraveled. I liked learning about the characters and learning about their how they all got entwined and involved with each other, and it escalated in a realistic way because it's based on things that actually happened. I watched a comparison video after I watched the movie as far as like how factual it was, and they cut a few corners as far as like leaving out some siblings and leaving out some kids, but they didn't change like the core facts of what happened, of so and so going to jail, so and so wanting a divorce, so and so taking over the company, getting bought out of the company, all of like the company drama and changing of hands and competitiveness over the brand and the money. That was like totally like Goodfellas and Wolf of Wall Street feeling, like actually happened in real life. So it's maybe not as like I was gonna say it's not as sexy as maybe some of those other movies, but this movie definitely has sexiness to it and style and like they treat themselves like royalty basically because they're rich, and when you're rich in America, you are royalty. So um, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, at the moment that I felt like it was spending too much time on just Lady Gaga and Adam Driver, I'm like, I get it. They met, they fell in love. Like when I started to have those thoughts, that's when the movie transitioned to the next phase. That's when he just like shows up on her doorstep and says, I want to marry you. Then we start to get the tension with the dad that she's a gold digger. I'm going to marry her anyway. They have a falling out. We meet Al Pacino. We spend some time with him. Like it really did kind of progress at the right moments. In the middle of this movie, when the characters are met and they're in it, and we see the struggle and the fighting for the money, for the power, and her wanting class and kind of prestige, but not outrightly saying it. The movie just kind of shows it to you. Again, Ridley Scott knows how to make a movie. I don't need to tell you that. Did you know that if you support me on patreon.com/superjersh, you can get this podcast early and ad-free? You probably didn't know that because you're listening to this promotion right now. Which means you also probably didn't know that there are dozens of hours of Patreon exclusive content over there, like full album music reactions and full movie watch-along commentaries. So head on over to patreon.com/superjersh to help the music and movie discussions continue. And for you gamers out there, don't forget to check out my gaming-focused YouTube channel, youtube.com/jershplays. Recently, I've been focusing on Guild Wars 2, Overwatch, and Fortnite, but there are also dozens of hours of gameplay videos for single-player games like Detroit Become Human and the Resident Evil series. Subscribe to that channel ASAP. It's free and helps a lot. Speaking of free, if Patreon isn't your thing, make sure you are liking the posts, commenting, sharing, rating, and reviewing, and subscribing everywhere that you can if you enjoy anything that I produce, music, movie, or gaming related. The only way it can continue is with your help. If this is all too much to remember and you want to see the different types of content I'm producing all in one place, just visit my website, superjersh.com. And so, yeah, for me, I didn't watch the trailer. I didn't know the real life story. It was all very engaging for me because I was literally, every scene was teaching me something, and I was learning something about the characters, about the plot. It was progressing at a really great pace. I was totally surprised. I was absolutely surprised that Al Pacino actually went to jail because, again, like, in the Goodfellas version, you pay off somebody, and again, Goodfellas is based on a true story too, so maybe that's like a bad comparison. But in movies in general, maybe not a Martin Scorsese movie, but in movies in general, usually the bad guys find a way out or whatever. And I liked that, like, these were real people. They weren't all good, they weren't all bad, they were real people. They made good decisions, they made bad decisions, they were ruled by their emotions in positive and negative ways. And I also really enjoyed, unfortunately, as a piece of entertainment, I enjoyed how the familial conflict was portrayed. I felt like it was, again, believable, relatable. We all have these different kind of casting characters in our own family, people smarter than others, people more successful than others, people jealous of others, people just kind-hearted, people just living their lives and taking lives as it comes to them. We all know these people and have known these people, and so to have these kind of like familial ideals and ideas represented at this kind of like high stakes millionaire, I've always, anytime I see movies like this or shows like this, I probably should watch that Danny McBride show on HBO, but there's an old Family Guy quote from Peter Griffin where their TV breaks and he pretends to watch soap operas at like the washer, like he's like washing clothes on the spin cycle and he has a chair in front of the washer. Anyway, he like makes up this drama of he's cheating on her, but she's cheating on him, but they don't know he knows where the money is. And then he just says, ooh, it's fun to watch rich people be naughty. And it's like, that's like all of entertainment boiled down to a nutshell. It's fun to watch rich people be naughty. Yeah, I thought there was a ton of style. Obviously, I guess the sex scene in the movie was like a big talking point for a lot of people. I thought it was really well done. It was tastefully shot, and it instantly showed you how they had this kind of intense passion for each other that really kind of overcame logic and maybe their better judgment for what type of a long-term partner they would make for each other, which I also feel like that is very relatable when you're young and you're running on lust and attraction, and you change. A decade changes you. When I was 23, or you're different when you're 23 and 33, 33 to 43, 43 to 53. Like, as you progress, the things that matter to you in life change and people change. And yeah, I liked that, and yeah, I loved how they kind of shaped Lady Gaga's character. I don't want to butcher the names, which is why I'm not saying the names. I know it's Patrizia and Maurizio and whatever. I don't want to get it mixed up, and I don't want to say the wrong thing or whatever, but because I really like when I was in the movie, I was thinking of them as their character names, not as the actor names, which for me, how I watch movies, that's like a big win because I'm so entrenched in entertainment and I've loved movies for my entire life. Like I will I will just think of like the director and the writer and the actors and the shot composition and like a movie for me, I'm really chasing a dragon now. A movie's got to be really extremely good in some area for the magic spell to work on me now because I've just consumed so many movies over this lifetime. And I really got caught up in the story and wanted to know what was going to happen. And I watched, this is a very long movie. I watched it all in one sitting, no problem. It was strange to go from like almost like period piece kind of fantasy farce to like serious time somebody's gonna die. And even I still didn't know like as tensions were growing in the movie and double crosses were happening, I was asking myself like, oh my god, like is Paolo gonna go off and kill Adam Driver? Is he gonna kill Lady Gaga for ruining their family because he's the dim-witted one? I didn't know who was gonna kill who. Like it never crossed my mind that I did have a moment when they had that fight when Adam Driver pins her against the wall. Like, oh my God, does the meek character get pushed over the edge and kill her for wanting to change and damage his family? Like, the mystery all worked for me just from the entertainment. Now, in real life, it's absolutely a tragedy, and it sucks that it happened. Again, as an outsider decades later, I feel for the family, and I think about daughters losing their dad, and that gets to me. I'm a parent, so I wouldn't want that to happen to anybody. So there's like a real life drama that really happened to real people around this piece of entertainment. And I thought that this piece of entertainment was tastefully made, well made, was entertaining, and was genuinely informative on how events and sequences took place in real life, and was really memorable for it as a result. And I said it is a strange tonal shift when we go into the murder plot at the end, but that's life. Life shifts tones. You know what I mean? Like, it's based on a real thing. Like, I'm sorry if you were enjoying all of, the rich people being naughty, but in real life, that didn't last. Things got dark and somebody died, and so that's what the movie has to do. And to think that the movie had to be serious to match the tone of the end is wrong as well. Life was really good for a really long time. You know what I mean? So, rich and happy and family and successful and things just progress and people change and desires are wanted. If, you just think about for me, like, it made me reflect on some of my life decisions. Like, if I had just done this, then this wouldn't have happened. Or if I had just known this person at this time in my life instead of this time in my life, maybe this would be the sequence of events instead. And like, I felt for the characters in this movie and how they must have felt in real life when it happened. And I'm telling you, like, that scene when Lady Gaga goes back and is like showing him pictures of their kids and like trying to save the marriage, and he's just over it because she's ruined his family and basically ruined his life. And he's like, I've known them my entire life and I've only known you for a few years. Like, that's I understood so well both of their points of view, and I understood the conflict that was inherent in the situation. And I loved the acting and the delivery and the dialogue of that scene where she's just like, I love you, I want to be with you. I don't, she had, again, I think, I think the motives are probably questionable. Did she love him or did she love the money? I don't know, but they were married for a long time and they did have kids together. And if you can make it work, maybe make it work. You know what I mean? If it's not violent or whatever. Um, and for him to be like, I appreciate that. I don't love you anymore. It's done, And so, I don't know. Yeah. I will say, I wished that there was a little bit more of an aftermath. I wanted to know, as part of the story, how she got caught, because then there's some title that says like 2 years later she was arrested. I would have really liked like a David Fincher-esque like Zodiac investigation of like, give me a 15-minute mini movie of putting these pieces together and watching the chips fall and kind of giving me a final coda for all of these different characters instead of just like, I don't know, like 2 sentences. But again, the movie probably assumes real life, and I also felt like they didn't glamorize the murderer, but they didn't make the murderer all bad. They showed the good and the bad. I really enjoyed it. I thought the characters were great. I thought the performances were mostly great. Jared Leto, I definitely do go back and forth on. It ultimately works for me because it's so memorable. Like even the people who hate it won't forget it probably. And yeah, I didn't even get into like the style of this movie, the costumes, the eras, the music. They really believably did a great job with the hairstyles and the costumes of like showing you the passage of time without saying time has passed now. You know what I mean? Like you see her like all of a sudden in the next scene she has a different hairstyle, she's wearing slightly different, more updated clothing, and you're like, oh, some time has passed. Like there's a lot of subtle passage of time, filmmaking, show don't tell stuff going on throughout this movie. The Al Pacino betrayal, her staring at the photo and seeing the signature, and then not having like the plan, scheming, we're gonna take the signature and we're gonna do this, like leaving that a mystery, leaving you to realize, oh, they totally fucking did that, and that's gonna bite them in the ass later. And it does, like really well made, really well acted, very few nitpicks from being mixed on Jared Leto, being kind of a slow, sad ending to a mostly fast, upbeat movie. But again, that's real life. And so, can't stress enough, don't watch trailers, and don't live real life so you don't spoil potential movies. I just happen to not be aware of this. I feel like I would have enjoyed it even if I knew the real life story, just because the filmmaking on display was so fun, the performances were so fun, the costuming, the music, the production of it was just all really enjoyable for me. And yeah, I'm surprised so many people are so down on it, because I think it's a really well made, entertaining movie. That is going to do it for this episode of No Trailers Allowed. Let me know what you thought of this movie. Either comment or email me, notrailersallowed@gmail.com. I want to know what people thought of this movie, just general viewing audiences instead of critics. I'm curious. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can find more episodes by visiting my website, superjersh.com. You can get this podcast early and ad-free and support me by visiting patreon.com/superjersh. You can watch the video version of this podcast on youtube.com/superjersh. You can follow me on social media on Twitter and Instagram @superjersh. And we are also on Spotify and iTunes. If you are listening to the audio version of this publicly and you're listening on those channels, please, like the podcast, rate and review it. If you're watching the video version of this on YouTube and you listen to Spotify or iTunes, go over there, give it a rating, give it a review, help this show find an audience, because the internet is a very crowded place. As always, thank you for watching or listening. Until next time.